Go. I opened the Red Pill Pathway pilot to 15 people, and I picked carefully. I found people that I knew would get benefit from it, where it would make a huge impact in their lives. I didn't use any sales techniques. I didn't use any marketing tactics, and I used no persuasion principles. I told the full truth to these 15 people about how they could get everything they always wanted in their life. What happened? They all refused the call to adventure. All of them, every one of them.
What?
Why is this a success? What does this mean? On September 20th, at 5 o'clock in the morning, I received a call to adventure. A little voice told me, get up, change your life. And I did. It's been almost 3 years. 3 years. 3 years of what? 3 years of what? Listening to a little voice telling me what to do so I could build a life and get everything that I always wanted. What did I do? I listened to it. I have never in 3 years not done what it asked me to do. Never. Never. What's going on here? We get opportunities throughout our entire life to get everything we've always wanted. What do we say to ourselves when those opportunities come? I'm too busy. I don't have time to allow myself to figure out who I am. What is the impact of this? We exist in a world where people are chasing things outside of themselves. Why do we have problems in this world? Because we exist in a world where people are chasing things outside of themselves. We exist in a world where people are living and experiencing life inside their mind, not directly. This is the problem with humanity. It has always been this way. This is the only problem that we have. How do you solve this problem? The only way to solve this problem and get everything you've always wanted is to take the journey inside. There is no other way. It is impossible. You cannot access reality through your mind. You cannot decide what you want. You cannot refuse the call to adventure. It won't work. So what happened to me? February 25th, my true self emerged inside me after spending the last couple years talking to me as a voice. And I realized that that self knows everything. I gained access to what is called universal wisdom. In other words, the ability to know immediately what's true and what's not true, and power beyond anything I thought was possible. And then I spent from then until September 12th trying to figure out how the fuck to live in this world. How do I communicate with people? How do I work? How do I have a family? What did I do? I listened to what it told me to do, and I did it. Two days ago, when I realized nobody was going to sign up for my program and that I didn't care because it didn't matter, I got in the car because my little voice told me to get in the car and go. I went to Northwestern. I sat on a bench by the lake. I said, "What are we doing here?" I said, "Just wait. Just wait." What am I supposed to do? Nothing. Wait, pay attention. After a few minutes, I felt inside me something expand and become me. What did I realize? I am the little voice.
You realize
We
that you're
are
too
the little
close to my
voice.
time. That's what you just realized.
All right, hold on. We are the little voice. We are the little voice inside ourselves. We are one self. When you realize that, everything for you will change. As you move towards that, you will feel an explosion of power and opportunity beyond anything you could ever imagine. The results will always come. You will always get everything that you've always wanted. No matter what, when you experience the truth inside yourself. What does this have to do with relationships? Everything. On Wednesday, the Red Pill Pathway starts. I have exactly the right people in that room who showed up after the people I thought were the right people said no. Why? Because we don't have to make things happen. We need to do what we need to do based on those connections we make inside ourselves, and everything we need and want shows up for us. All right, sorry for going over.
Yeah,
But that
I'm
story
short,
needed to be
like 3
told. So
minutes.
go.
Well, now my notes are convoluted because you said we were talking about relationships.
We are talking about relationships.
We're talking about relationships. I have convoluted notes now. But here we fucking go, ladies and gentlemen, and confused people. I'm not getting in front of the right people. Sometimes people say that. What does that really mean? It means you're not adding massive value. Because if you add massive value, you will attract the right people. What does it mean to add massive value? To say things where people write down what you say because it was so useful that they're going to take note. Are you operating with intention but not being concerned with the outcome? Are you trying to build relationships, meaning friendships, or are you trying to make money? When you go into a meeting, what is your thought? Is your thought, I'm going to get to know this person and see how I can benefit them and how they can benefit me? Or are you going there with the intention of making money? Birds of a feather flock together. Who is it that you hang out with? You've heard about the average income. Your average income is based on the 5 people you talk to the most. So who are you talking to? And you might say to yourself, I don't care about money. If you say, I don't care about money, you're going to stay poor. It doesn't mean that money is the most important thing in the world, but if you don't care about it, it's not going to come to you. The money is attracted to certain kind of people. As Jim Rohn said, you can redistribute all the wealth, take away all the money from all the people, give it out all evenly, and 2 years later from now, the same people will have the millions and the same people will be poor, because money is attracted to certain kinds of people who have a certain kind of mentality. Also, the conversations are different. So most of my friends are entrepreneurs. Most of my friends are rich. One of my friends, she's not an entrepreneur. She does make good money. But when we talk, it's a different conversation than the conversations that I have with my entrepreneur friends. One of my clients told me this week that he's working harder than all of his friends. But if you're working, but his friends all have corporate jobs for 100,000 a year. So that is a way of operating. So when you're an employee, you have weekends, you have holidays, and you have a certain way of thinking. I told one of my friends, I'm about to buy something I can't afford, and then I'm going to figure out how to pay for it. And she is an employee, not an entrepreneur. So she said to me, I understand that you are an entrepreneur and that that's how you operate, but I would never do that. I don't buy anything that I can't afford. So the conversation is just different. If I have that conversation with my multimillionaire entrepreneur friends, they say, "Oh yeah, go buy that thing. You'll figure it out." It's a different way of thinking and a different paradigm. So contingent upon your relationships and contingent upon the people you talk to, that's going to determine what the conversations look like. Like attracts like. Something Larry and I agree about a lot is to be yourself. And if you are 100% yourself, then you will attract those who are attracted to you. You will get the right friends, the right relationships. Jim, I made that comment, gender neutral. I was going to say the right women. You will get the right relationships. You will attract the right people. You can stay in touch with people by sending pictures of your dog, by sending poetry, by sending all different kinds of stuff out. It doesn't have to be complicated. Something interesting with one of my poems last week, I had 4 people that are new to being in my phone. And a couple of them said, wow, this is really cool. I didn't know you write poetry. And 2 of them said, I don't think this was meant for me. And then I deleted their phone numbers and blocked them from my phone because they were correct. It was not meant for them. I am not meant for them. We are not meant for one another. Because if you don't know what spoken word poetry is, you're probably very white, and you're just not the right kind of person for me, right? We're not gonna have a friendship. We're not gonna have a business relationship because you don't even know poetry. But you can just put stuff out there, and if people like who you are for who you are, they will, and if they don't, they don't. But there's 8.2 billion people in the world. There's enough people in the world where if you're completely yourself, you can still attract enough people to have great relationships, intimate relationships, friendships, and make a ton of fucking money. Breakdown of a business meeting. It is not a discovery call. It is not a get to know you meeting. It is a business meeting. First minute, form rapport. Form a relationship in the first minute. Next 2 minutes, add massive value. Say, I checked out your LinkedIn and your website. Is it okay if I provide some feedback? And then give them value right off the bat. The next 8 minutes, they pitch. To pitch means to clearly and concisely articulate what you do to show massive value. They pitch the first 8 minutes. You take little handwritten notes while they're talking so that when you pitch, which is the next 8 minutes, you incorporate their specific needs in an interwoven way. The last 11 minutes of the 30 minutes is to close. At the end of the day, if you end up making friends, like I did with Larry and several of you that are in this room I'm now friends with, that happens. But that's not the purpose of business. The purpose of business is to make money. The sign of success of a business is if it makes money. Stop confusing the relationships and understand why you're doing what you're doing. You're here for work. This is, if you own your own business, this is your job. There we go.
I wrote in this journal, I'm going to read this quickly, an experience after this experience that I just described. So this was 2 days ago. What now? It seemed like an appropriate question. I answered to myself now, as there is no more little voice, it is me. Decide on the life experience you want. You will get everything you've always wanted, and allow it to happen. Do nothing. There are no more test trials and lessons like you have gone through over the last 3 years. It's a matter only of existence as a human being in an eternal energy that exists as one now, here in this lifetime. Write down, what do you want? I wrote down 5 things. They were completely different from what I had ever written down before. I'm not going to read those. And then I said, I want this now. And the answer was yes. Here's the answer to my request to deliver this experience that I've been living in my mind for 3 years now, as if it has already happened. This is what I do with my time. You must never take back control. Number one, you must never take back control. Think about this. Are you trying to control getting the results that you want? You won't get them in the way you want them. Crave anything, must have a result. You'll push the result away. Or refuse any request. Any little hint of anything you feel like you're supposed to do it. Even if it doesn't make sense to you, if it feels like it's right, it will work.
Larry, they have to come to you for the rest. A quick note on Larry's thing and then interaction with the audience. George Carlin was not George Carlin for the first 6 years of his career. George Carlin, after 6 years, I think probably because he took some acid, decided he was going to quit caring. He was just going to be completely himself. And whether he failed or he succeeded, he was going to just not care anymore. And once he stopped caring about what the outcome would become or what the outcome would be, to echo Larry's thoughts, then George Carlin became George Carlin.
I'm going to be totally myself. So pause, please. So I'm going to say the rest of this. What I was told, it is not your role to do anything except exist in experience and allow life to come to you. Go.
I was done with my thought. It's the same thing you're saying. Just let it be and it will be. Everything will come to you once you find being you. If you're just yourself, everything you need will come to you. My final thought there was, if any of you all think about the people you idolize, that's who those people are. That's just people that have found the courage to be completely themselves and not care anymore. Once you quit caring, then it all comes to you. Questions, comments, thoughts from the audience? Please raise your digital hand. Robert Butwin.
I agree, but the one element you're not saying is you've got to stay in proper action and be able to adjust as it relates to what you're doing. It will come to you, but it's like in The Secret, in the movie The Secret, the book. It goes beyond thinking, it goes beyond authenticity. You've got to stay in action, and you ultimately need to adjust, because whatever you're doing, the marketplace will show you by either what's happening or not happening. But in the meantime, you've got to stay in action.
That's right. And this is the confusion. So the little voice action is action. It's the toughest action that exists. I've been doing it for 3 years. That action is to do things that make you incredibly uncomfortable all the time because you don't care anymore, because you're not trying to control the experience. You must act. But you don't chase what you want. That is our belief in terms of how we get the result we want. It will not work. You may get a result. You will never get everything you always wanted in the life experience that you desire. You'll push it away.
I don't have anything to add. I agree with both of them. Wait, Roanne just sent me a thing here. Richard.
Yes. Sajid.
Yeah, my dad's Sajid. I'm Sajad.
Yeah, all right. Well, anyway, we've got this know, like, and trust, but I think that there's a bit more to it than that. And I think it needs to be something along the lines of loyalty. You're looking for loyalty in people. You're looking for some branding type You need to have a understanding what the branding is, and you need to be able to verify things. So I think it's a very fine line between privacy, confidentiality, and verification. And I don't really know what the answer is, because we all like to just take people as at face value and trust them from the get go. But sometimes I think you may need to think, try and understand how well do you actually know someone. You can probably like them, you can probably even trust people, but how well do you actually know someone? And I mean, I think this was what Sajid was on about last time, where he could, he could ask several people for $10,000, but then that was because he'd known them for quite a long time. Probably he was probably very confident in who they were, and I think that's an important aspect of this know, like, and trust.
This is so key, Richard, and this is my experience. So the 15 people I picked, life would change and transform if they did this thing with me, but they weren't ready. The people who actually came after that didn't work because I was forcing it, because I decided what I wanted. Understand everything that I say. I don't have to explain anything. We totally understand each other. When you create a little group like that, things will change. That's important. It's not about passing around a bunch of business cards.
Yeah.
Find your people.
I have two thoughts on this. I think number one is knowing what is your value system first. So to your point, Richard, loyalty is the number one most important thing to me in the world. So once somebody's disloyal to me, that's the end of our relationship. Whether that's a girlfriend, a friend, or a business person, once the loyalty goes away, I'm done with you. And I'll tolerate anybody's views on race, gender, sexuality, economics, politics, religion. We can disagree about everything and we can still be friends unless you have a lack of integrity. If you have a lack of integrity, the relationship's over. So loyalty, honesty, and respect are my three core values. I like people who are honest. And of course, respect can be a philosophical argument about what that means. And then to know, I think it takes at least 3 years. There's sometimes where people know me for a year and they're like, oh, you're like one of my best friends. And I say, but we're not even friends yet, right? Because we haven't known each other for 3 years. We have to see each other in different positions. You have to be rich, you have to be poor. I have to be rich, I have to be poor. We need that juxtaposition in our relationship. I have to see you at your high and at your low when I'm at my high and my low. All that stuff needs to happen to see what is the real strength and nature of our relationship. How do you behave in all these different positions? 95% of my clients have been ripped off by fake ass business coaches before they hire me. And 2 weeks into my program, they say, how come I didn't learn any of this stuff from this person that I hired? And I say, well, why'd you hire her? And they say, well, I liked her. So people need to stop hiring people because they like them. You don't have to like me. We don't have to be fucking friends. I have to do my job. That's all I have to do. I pay money who do work, not whether I like them or not. I don't like most people. So it's not whether I like them or not. It's can they do the job right? Because we're not going to hang out. I don't want to have sex with you. I don't want to be your friend. I just want to pay you money to do work. I don't need to like you. And I don't need to know you. I just need to trust that you're going to do the job right. And that's the end of our relationship. It is transactional. I am paying you money to do a job. I'm not paying you to be my friend. I don't want to be your friend. My contract says it only has 12 provisions. They're all in simple, plain English, not legalese. And one of the lines says, please understand, we are not fucking friends until potentially the end of the program, right? This is not the nature of our relationship. Dr. Drew.
Is it yeah, you actually covered it just now what you said, because I was going to ask what's the line between trust versus basically someone being able to do their job, and how much do you have to like someone to do it, but you just already answered it. So that was kind of my thing, but cool, thanks.
We are vibing. Larry, did you have any thoughts on that? Trust, or your
I think the people show up who are the right people. You don't have to look for them when you're being yourself. And when I removed the artifice. It kind of removed itself, actually, but I allowed it to go. A whole new group of people showed up. And a lot of people that I was around went away. They didn't like me anymore. And I let them go. And then the people who showed up became my people. And this is the point I'm making. Things work. Everything we were taught is wrong. The way we think reality works, it actually works the opposite of how we think it works. When you know what you want, and it's what you really want, it comes to you when you do the thing that's necessary, those things every day, consistently, over a period sometimes of years, recognizing getting the right thing, getting the thing you think is the right answer, the person who's signed or the money or whatever. You can't see the pathway when you're in it. You just walk it. That is hard. It's called the road less traveled. Very few people do this. This is the only way to get the life that you want. There is no other way. I know that now. Every wisdom tradition explains this in different ways, and they're all saying exactly the same thing.
I've heard this many times before, but I'm afraid to be me because people might not like me. Quinn.
That's right.
Yeah, so over a period of time, I have been working on myself to correct the things that I've been taught. As far as like you know, how to make money.
You got muted.
You went on mute.
And I was all excited about what you were saying.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So as I was saying, I have a job and things of that nature, but I'm working to get away from a job. And I know that takes time. But one thing I wanted to get clarification on is about the caring. What, like, if you could give me a better example of not caring, like not caring about what people think of what you're doing, or what do you mean by that? Because the money program I'm working on, you know, one thing that you said, if you don't care about money, you remain poor, you know, and I hear a lot of people say, you know, money is not important. I want to be rich, but I don't want to pay taxes, you know, things like that. So, yeah,
You're
that's
talking to the wrong fucking people if you want to have money.
right.
It's so there's a paradigm shift in thinking that occurs in order to become an entrepreneur, right? And 90% of my program is practical skills, but the 90% that matters is the change in thinking, the rewiring of the brain. And so there's three aspects to a people pleaser. A people pleaser is somebody who wants everybody to like them. They never want to get rejected, and they never want to make anybody uncomfortable. That person has zero chance of success as an entrepreneur or zero chance of doing sales. You can't, if you care deeply about, you know, people's feelings and what they think of you. Fortunately, as one of my ex-girlfriends said, that part of my brain is missing where you're supposed to give a fuck. So it doesn't exist for me, but I know that's the number one struggle for my clients, is the people pleaser thing. The way to alleviate that problem: listen to a lot of Dan Pena and a lot of David Goggins. Read the book, How Not to Give a Fuck. There's an audio book. It's for free on YouTube. So you're probably, or if you want to become an entrepreneur, start hanging out with the people that you want to become. Larry, we got 1 minute left till breakout rooms.
Money is very important, and money is something that comes to those who are able to be themselves in a way that adds value, and happens automatically. We have to allow that to happen. You have to add value, and you have to be yourself, and it's incredibly uncomfortable.
Yes, I agree.
Quinn, number one thing to do is change your circle if you want to do something else. Start hanging out with successful entrepreneurs. I don't hang out with Larry just because he's so handsome. He's also really good at business too.
Okay.
When we get back from the two breakout rooms, 2 15-minute breakout rooms, the rules for the rooms are, Larry,
There's no rules.
there's no rules. What about the get to know you question? How will they
We don't
get to
have
know
that.
each other?
We don't have that. You can sit in
Oh.
uncomfortable silence.
Yes, you could